Good evening and welcome to BBC World News America. I'm Abby Downton. It has now been 3 weeks since the first outbreak of Hadad in Augsburg, Germany. Up to now, the viral agent has been reported to cause hemorrhagic dermal lesions and severe delirium. But physicians are now seeing an increased carnivorous proclivity amongst affected patients. In light of this development, tonight's program will contain riveting discussion of the nature of the Hadad virus with two esteemed physicians from the prestigious Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Dr. Dawn Davis, a dermatologist, and Dr. Ashok Patel, a pulmonologist and critical care specialist, will be joining us here in the studio via webcam. Dr. Davis, welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Abby. As the outbreak continues to grow, we'd like to raise more public awareness on the physical symptoms of Hadad. As a dermatologist, I've been studying the characteristic lesions, which appear primarily on the patient's extremities and slowly spread to the individual's trunk. In the initial phase of the infection, the lesions appear red, similar to chickenpox marks, and are often found on the hands and on the feet. These individuals often hide their hands in their pockets, probably to hide the disfiguration that results from the peeling. If you notice anyone with these symptoms, encourage them please to seek treatment immediately. In the mid portion of the infection, these lesions appear blue, with peeling and shedding of the skin. Individuals are often violent, with much cannibalistic behavior, and civilians are highly encouraged to keep a distance from these patients. In the final stages, they exhibit hemorrhagic or bloody lesions with significant loss of the skin. Individuals in this stage of Hadad are extremely violent and are not seeking any help for pain. They do not sleep, do not acknowledge pain. Please seek protection immediately if you see an individual in this final stage. Thank you.
Dr. Dawn Davis from the Mayo Clinic, thank you so much for your input. And now we go to our next guest, Dr. Ashok Patel, also from the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, who will tell us more about protecting ourselves during these violent times. Dr. Patel, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Abby. If you see an infected individual, we encourage you to avoid close proximity. The virus is transferred through the mucosal routes, or in other words, bodily secretions. Individuals in the final stages are extremely violent and possess an insatiable cannibalistic desire with no regard to pain. If you cannot remove yourself from this situation with an infected individual, we do have some emergency measures you can follow. If you find an infected individual and play calming music, the kind that's soft and serene, individuals will often respond with less aggressive behavior. However, if you play loud, angry music, the individuals are more likely to attack. Individuals are less likely to be aggressive to children and than to adults. So you may want to find some children and have them ask simple questions or make some statements. This is highly encouraged to use as a last resort, as its success rate is very small. Finally, infected individuals seem to have an aversion towards cinnamon scents, so stock up on anything that has cinnamon in it, except cinnamon ice cream doesn't last too long. Try some air fresheners and incense with cinnamon. If you find yourself infected, seek care immediately, as there is a treatment available. However, it only works in the beginning stages. A preliminary vaccine has been developed in Canada. However, supplies are limited and are only offered to those in the initial stages of infection.
Dr. Patel of the Mayo Clinic, thank you so much for your valuable input. As the plot of the Hadad pandemic continues to thicken, it has been identified that patient 0 was initially infected after being bitten by a Tibetan Mastiff. The patient in question is currently under observation by the World Health Organization, who helped to uncover the secret of a more stable vaccine and effective treatment of those infected. We thank you so much for joining us tonight for this special news report. Reporting from Washington, Abby Downton, BBC World News.